watching, wherever you may be. George Balekji alongside Ountae Campbell inside the PNC Bank studio. Tay, first chat together live in person in the PNC Bank studio. Good to be alongside you, my brother.
Yeah, it's great. And we got a great show ahead of us. I am rocking my Red Sox
coming in hot
here as we talk about some of these All-Stars coming up. And I'm excited to be here in this beautiful studio with you today, George.
As you alluded to, you're rocking that Sox jersey, custom, by the way.
Yes, sir.
Little Campbell on the back.
Yes, sir.
We're going to be breaking down, obviously, the Sox that got into the All-Star game. Huge for the trio they got coming out of Boston. We'll talk some trade deadline stuff as it's easing its way closer and closer. Are the Sox going to buy? Are they going to sell? What should they do? Who should they get? We'll break it all down. And then on top of that, we'll talk about some little all-time Yankee-Sox rivalry as well. Who are the all-time Yankee killers that don the Boston Red Sox jersey? You guys are going to love those lists. But first, let's start with a little bit of who's trending.
Yeah.
And Tay, we got to get into it. Danny Hurley goes from winning back-to-back national championships to saying no thank you to $11.5 million to your Lakers and LeBron, to inking a new deal to stay with UConn 6 years, $50 million contract. That comes in at $8.3 million a year. What was your reaction? I think this is multifold to ask you, because it's turning down the Lakers for any hoophead. That is the dream job.
Yeah.
Lakers, Celtics, Knicks, 3 dream jobs.
Yep.
You could go, yeah, it's college. No. Dream job no matter where you're coaching, what level. But then also you see the money he's getting now, which is big for a college basketball coach.
Yeah, it is big. And I want to say one thing really quickly. You got to stop saying you're Lakers, all right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Reformed Lakers fan Ountae Campbell.
Yeah, the Laker fan left in me when I went to college, so you know what I mean? But I do have to say this about Dan Hurley, all right? It made sense, right? Because after you look at the money that the Lakers offered him, they offered him a 6-year deal as well, worth $70 million. That's about $11 million a year, right? And so he's now accepting about an $8 million deal with the UConn Huskies. He gets to stay in UConn, where in Connecticut he'll never pay for a meal, ever. Nope. I'm sure of that. Anytime him, his family, anybody steps out, they got that Hurley last name, they're good. And on top of that, when you look at the taxes, you know what I'm saying, Connecticut versus California, it's really only about a less than $1 million difference.
Okay, you're saying post-tax.
Yeah, post-tax.
That's a sign of a true adult right there.
After taxes.
Yeah,
you gotta look
take
at
that 30% off pretty much off the top. That's income. Then
Man,
you go state.
It's almost like 40.
Yeah.
Altogether. They take half your money. So
financial advisory advice. Boston has entered the chat.
It makes sense, obviously. I'm excited that he got this deal done and that they got it done quickly and that they showed that they care about him. He has the opportunity to be the best coach to ever coach at UConn.
Yep.
Men's or women's, you know what I mean? We'll see. Obviously, we know Gino has a huge resume over there in Husky land. So I'm excited that he's got it done. I want to see him get a three-peat if possible. You know, who knows? We'll see.
We could talk pre-tax stuff on this one. I see this deal come down, and I honestly did think, and it is everything that comes into play.
Yeah.
The dream job's that Lakers job for Danny Hurley. But he's coming off the mountaintop. Back-to-back national championships. Yep. You built UConn back up after what Kevin Ollie did to break it down and the sanctions they faced, right? Even though Kevin Ollie won a natty there.
Yep.
That is now in the conversation. Like, UConn's a blue blood. It's up there with the Dukes. It's up there with the Kentuckys, with the UNCs, with the Kansases, with the UCLAs, even though they haven't won it all in a while. But now where UConn is, they're in the business of 4 and 5 stars. Yeah. Like, that's the minimum that they're getting, right? Yeah. You're getting the top recruits. You have the pedigree of the guys you've turned into the NBA. Yeah. And he knows making $8.3 million a year at Connecticut, there's the happiness equation. You know what you're walking into every day. You know who the AD is. You know who your assistants are. Yep. You know the dynamics. And you know you control everything. If you're the head coach of a college basketball team, you're the owner, you're the GM, you're the head coach. Yep. Shoot, you could be the guy that does the laundry at the end of the day. Doesn't matter. Yep. You go to LA, LeBron is the most powerful guy in that building. Yep. Don't care who the owner is. Don't care who the GM or president is. And after LeBron, it's Rich Paul, because he's the agent that is so powerful across the NBA. Then it's Anthony Davis. Then it gets into, all right, maybe then it would be Dan Hurley. You could say, you can name a couple other dynamics there. Yeah. But at UConn, you are the man. And then it comes into the happiness there. Your family's there. He's never coached outside of the Northeast, whether he's playing at Seton Hall, coaching high school hoops, working his way up through Wagner, URI, whatever it may be. He stays at UConn, and they pay him this 5 years, Connecticut knew what they were doing, the money that comes with the national championships. And you said it too. The best thing, you know what Danny Hurley loves? He could walk around and make the joke, I'm not even the best coach at Connecticut, and I'm making $8.3 million a year.
Crazy.
Gino Ariema's there as well. All right, staying with hoops. This is something you'll love.
Yep.
Team USA's getting together, training at UNLV. Anthony Edwards said this when talking to the media. I'm still the number one option. Y'all might look at it differently, but I don't. Talking about his place on Team USA, saying basically, they got to adjust to my game. And this is Anthony Edwards saying this with Devin Booker, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, LeBron James, all on this roster.
Yeah.
But that's the Ant-Man we all love.
Is he wrong? Like, honestly, is he wrong?
Yes. Best offensive option? Give me Steph. Give me KD internationally. Give me Tatum if he doesn't want to be the playmaker and be Tatum with all that talent around him.
Here's my thing. All those guys you name, yeah, they've been great, but they haven't played USA basketball as recently as he has. He had to carry USA basketball in the World Cup last year, and if we're talking about it, he might be in the conversation. I think he's the best American, honestly, basketball player in the league right now. Because if you go back and you look at it, and the league kind of supports me with this because
recency bias.
Wait, hold on.
Go ahead.
We're not talking about, when you always talk about the best in the world, right? It's a right now type of thing. There was a time where Giannis was the best in the world. There was a time where Jokic was the best in the world. Bron, whatever, KD. They were all the best in the world at some point in time, right? But as we were looking to it right now, when you talk about those older guys, they didn't have as much playoff success as Ant did. You know what I'm saying? And he did it with a bunch of misfits, honestly. Cat, nobody likes Cat around the league. You know what I mean? Rudy Gobert is hated, like the most hated NBA player in the entire league.
Gets exposed every postseason.
Right. And then when you look at the MVP voting, and I don't always love to look at MVP voting, but you have the 4 foreigners, obviously, at the top. And then as you get to the 5 and 6 spot, you have Brunson, who's out with a hand injury, so he can't be the best in the world right now. And then Jason Tatum, who is a great player, but has some off playoff games where people were questioning if he's even the best player on his own team, right? There's no question about that with Ant. So I am willing to say right here, right now, Anthony Edwards is the best American basketball player in the NBA right now. So it is his team.
You're saying that Steph Curry, who hasn't lost his powers, I think Jason Tatum that took on a different role, I would still take him over Ant-Man. And I'm a big Ant-Man fan.
Yes.
I understand what you're saying. For the sake of debate, I'll say no. And also for the sake of, you look at who the top 3 players are in the world right now. It's Jokic, it's Doncic, it's Giannis. None of them are American-born. So I understand what you're saying, top American player. Then you go SGA maybe Joel Embiid. Still international guys. SGA is Canadian, in case anyone forgets. Then you get into the Jason Tatums that float around that top 6. Even the Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's not on the team. I think Kevin Durant, I almost said Kevin Booker. Even if you bring in Devin Booker, I would take them right now over Ant-Man. But also, his game, he's not even close to entering his prime. So, yeah, one day he could be the best American player, no doubt about it. I don't want to diminish Ant's ability. And you know what? For the sake of basketball and for the sake of the NBA in the States, you want Ant-Man to become a top 5, top 3 player in the league because it reinvigorates the excitement in the States again. And the charisma he has, everything, he could be the biggest athlete in the world. Because of how marketable he is, how good he is in the biggest moments, his ability, his personality, everything. And he does not shy away from the cameras. He just embraces it and wants more and more and more attention on him. And I bet the old heads are like, great, you take it. You want to be the guy they're going to ask a million questions to? I can actually enjoy the Olympics. I can enjoy Paris. Go on ahead.
Yeah, he just needs to stay away from the baby mama drama.
That's for sure. And hopefully KD too, because we don't want to see him just tear teams apart either.
Right.
All right, let's get into it. Red Sox coming off. You're wearing the jersey. Beat the Yankees. Took 2 games out of 3. Coming off that 3-0 win on Sunday Night Baseball. Rafael Devers, man, what he did to them. Hit .417, 3 home runs, 4 RBIs, 1628 OPS in just 3 games. But once again, Rafael Devers stepping up and just killing the Yankees. What do you think of this? The latest of them being fantastic, but taking 2 or 3 from the Yankees, who are so far ahead of them in the standings, and they keep closing that gap while the Sox remain in the wild card picture.
Yeah, I'm here to say it. I believe in this team at this point.
Yeah, I do too.
I think that the Red Sox are going to be a playoff team in 2024.
Which I never thought I would say.
Right, but they've been showing it. Honestly, their team has been really good, and we're going to get into why their team has been good, and I'll get into it now. Honestly, it's been Houck, Devers, and Jarren Duran, the All-Stars. They've been great for this team. There's no question about that. But it's the first time that the Red Sox have had 3 guys in the All-Star game since 2021, a team that made the playoffs.
Yep.
So on top of that, the other guys are also giving them a lot, which hasn't been consistent for this Red Sox team throughout just the last couple of years, honestly. They've had Cutter Crawford. He had 7 scoreless innings against a Yankees team that put up 14 runs the night before. And through 5 of those, the first 5 innings, only 40 pitches. 40 pitches. For a guy who has been kind of up and down, he's starting to figure it out now. Rafaela has been great. Hit a .315 average in June. Hamilton, 14 stolen bases since June 1st. Then you got Kenley. I mean, dude, Kenley Jansen last year was so, like, up and down at times where people were, not as excited about him having closing opportunities. He's quieted all of that. The last 10 appearances that he had in June, all 10 appearances, he had 2 wins, 7 saves. Then you go into July, and now he has 2 more saves and a 0 ERA, a 0.84 in June. This dude has been balling. So all of the guys who are not the consistent everyday starters, whatever, like the guys that we know are going to be the faces of the franchise, have been fantastic for them, and that's why they're going to continue to win games.
It's been everywhere getting it done. The pitching stepping up. If it's not Tanner Houck, you said it, it's Cutter Crawford. It's their bullpen still getting the job done. But it is, when you look up and down the lineup, the amount of consistent production they're getting as well. Rafael Devers went scorched earth. Jarren Duran's been an everyday player and gets it done in all facets of the game. Cedane Rafaela, who stepped up as well with the big bat, and you don't expect that to him, but he just reached 10 home runs on the season. With him and Jarren Duran producing 20 or more home runs between the two of them, add to what the tools and what they do and they bring defensively as well, those two in and of itself are such a special tandem to have that only lifts up the rest of the team. And you keep in mind what they're doing this with, still without a lot of main players. Vaughn Grissom still rehabbing. Tristan Casas still rehabbing. Brian Bayo isn't right yet. Colton Wong's been great behind the dish. Maybe they move him around as well. They've talked about all that changing. But the Red Sox, since that June 14 loss to the Yankees, they're 14-5, 66 extra base hits the last 19 games. That's 12th in the MLB. They're 8th in runs per game, 8th in OPS. The bats are getting it done. The defense is backing it up. And they have the pitching from the starters to, you pointed out Jansen's numbers, the closers that get it done. It is top to bottom. This is a team. And you look at who they faced on the opposite end, where the Yankees, they're scoring runs, but their pitching isn't getting right. And at the end of the day, I don't care. It's back to what we've seen when it was Judge and Giancarlo. Now it's Judge and Soto. It is a 2-man show in that lineup. And you could say Giancarlo Stan wasn't doing much. Anthony Rizzo wasn't doing much. That's right. But they still provide something there. You see it between the team that has everything going right and a team that can't even figure it out. What was it? Yankees were 50-22 when they beat the Red Sox back in mid-June. They're 55-37 now. And then look at what the Red Sox have done. And they're only 4.5 games back of the wild card race for the 1 spot in the wild card. Just 4.5? With how it's been tilting with the Red Sox only keeping going up and the Yankees continuing to fall, 4.5 is nothing for this Sox team. And it is the experience that Duran, that Devers, that Cedane Rafaela is gaining, that the rest of this guys throughout this team, the experience of winning. We're learning how to win. Yes, it's just a regular season. Yes, it's just the middle of the summer. But they're figuring out how to be leaders, how to step up every day, how to play the game right, and win meaningful baseball games. Because when you're floating on that wild card line, and they know it too. They know what the expectations were going in. They know what from people from the outside were saying. They know they're proving everyone wrong. And this is a team that thrives on the underdog type mentality and approach to it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what this team does against the A's. I mean, I just think it's a trap game, or a trap series, as we like to call it, because you obviously have a great team, a rival that you play with the Yankees on the front end, right? And then on the back end, before we go to All-Star break, they got the Royals. And the Royals are right there, just
young, overachieving team.
You know what I mean? Just right on the backs, though, of the Red Sox, where they're in the 4th spot. There's 3 teams that are going to get into the wild card. The 4th team, the Royals, 1.5 games back, I believe, from the Sox right now. So I'm excited to see what the Sox are going to do to finish out throughout the first half of this season. If they can finish this out, man, I really don't see any team closing the gap on them. And maybe they do get up to a 2 spot or a 1 spot in the wild card, and we really have something special then at that point.
They build that cushion. I'm not too worried about the A's because even looking through since they got on the streak, it was against the Reds. They're third in their division.
Yep.
Blue Jays are last place. Padres are good. Marlins are last place. And the Yankees are second, but they've been struggling.
Yeah.
This is a team that's so locked in on winning. And I get it. You have those trap series. You play a bad team. Do they play down?
Right.
But the Red Sox just haven't been doing that. If anything, I don't want them to stop playing baseball. I don't want them to get to this All-Star break, but they've earned it. And, of course, it's part of the schedule. Can they keep this going? And what will be big, too, is what they continue to do heading into the trade deadline and all that. Hey, you want to join the chat? Boston has entered the chat. Call in to our hotline, 617-790-0928. Leave a voicemail, join the chat, or email us, thechat@nesson.com. That is thechat@nesson.com. Email us, give us a take, ask us a question, whatever it may be. You'll hear your name read if you want to submit it or keep it anonymous, and we'll bring it into the chat, and you guys join the conversation.
Hit us up.
That we're having. All right, let's check out a few fan tweets coming off that big series win for the Red Sox, taking 2 of 3 against the Yankees. The sun rising over Yankee Stadium. That is it. It is Rafael Devers. He is. And that's what the Yankees have to know. And you see that fan toss his home run ball back?
Dude, that dude needs to be on the team.
He needs to be on the Yankees. As long as he can hit, that's what they need.
He got it to the infield, man.
It is, I will tell you, it is sheer fear and respect that Yankees have of Rafael Devers, and that is the best thing you can have in this rivalry.
Yeah, it is.
That is perfect.
Yeah, it is. I love it. I love it.
It's when that sun rises, the Yankees know they're screwed. When it sets like, all right, finally we could come out and play.
Right. Facts.
Pull up Boston Strong, what a Yankee nightmare looks like. Yeah, it's David Ortiz. You know, he's clutch going back to 2003, really started in that 2004 ALCS against the Yankees.
Facts.
And Devers, the big bat he is, man, on fire defensively at third as well for the Sox with that barehanded play.
Yeah.
You see when Rafael Devers gets rolling how special of a player he is, bringing it in every facet of the game. He's just been so good. And yeah, that is what a nightmare looks like. Just David Ortiz even being around Rafi. Obviously, they played a few years together, 2018.
Yeah.
But David Ortiz being around Rafi, just that strikes fear into fans' hearts as well.
For sure. The Yankees fans were definitely going to sleep thinking about them and probably throwing stuff at their pillow and being like, I hate the Red Sox. I hate the Red Sox. I have a couple friends who are Yankees fans, and they didn't even want to talk to me this week.
I don't blame them. I said 18 for Ortiz. He retired in 16, but obviously he's around the Red Sox, mentoring Rafi, and that's what's so important for his development and everything like that as well. Yeah. All right, and so with that last home run he had, Rafael Devers tied David Ortiz for the most home runs hit in Yankee Stadium by a Red Sox player with 16. Wow. I believe Jose Bautista might have the record with 19 or 20.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of if, and it's a matter of when, not if, that Rafi will break the record himself.
Yeah.
You see that number, and it goes to the sun rising over Yankee Stadium. That's Rafael Devers' effect.
Yeah, and as Cora told him when he told him about his All-Star appearance, like, he's the face of the Red Sox. So he's going to be here for forever. He's not going anywhere. No. We're not trading him.
There's the contract.
Yeah, the contract is large and big and fat, so he's going to be here for forever. And with that, he's going to have a lot more home runs. And Booney clearly says he doesn't really know what to do with it. And they've been trying to figure him out, but they can't. Did you see, by the way, like, I know you saw it, but, like, dude, how far that second home run was off the plate? 93 miles per hour.
It went out.
1 foot off of the plate, and he freaking pulled it.
Yep.
Pulls it. I don't know. To right field. I don't know how he does that.
And it was, like, looking like, you could tell by the outfielder, like, that was a no-doubter.
Right.
It wasn't even close.
Right.
Just to get that far out, that's when the ball looks like a beach ball.
Yeah.
At that point.
He's insane, bro.
They could pitch away from him. You have to pitch to him.
Right.
It was a tight game, too.
Right.
The Yankees only lost 3-0. Like, you're in that game where you're like, we're pitching to Devers. It's not like it's a blowout.
Yeah.
Or, they were struggling. But early on in the game, pitching to him, he gets the job done, and he just does it again. He was so special in that series, and he continually does it throughout his career.
Yeah, that was such a Rafi game and a Rafi series, honestly.
Yeah. Goes in, takes over. And, again, everything Aaron Judge is doing is so special this season might break his own records he set.
Yeah.
You walk away from that 3-game series and go, Rafael Devers. Jaron Duran, Those are the best players between these two squads in that series. But Judge has the bat.
Does that hurt you to say, Mr. Yankees fan?
Look, man, as I was asked on the Allcast, do I identify with Yankees as a Yankees fan? My answer is not really anymore.
Okay.
It's given whatever city I live in, I want to see that city have a good time.
Yeah.
I've lived in Missouri. I've lived in Wisconsin. I'm now living in Boston.
Yeah.
It's changed. The longer I'm in this industry too, I'm just like, what do I owe that franchise? Like nothing. Like what do I owe the Steinbrenners? Like why am I forget the Steinbrenners. Like what have they done for me? Nothing.
Right.
Yes, it hurts, but I can't come about it objectively and to come in obviously knowing about Devers. But my first year here was 2021. That's Jarren Duran's rookie season. From a guy that struggled with his batting stance, literally tweaking it at bat by at bat, game by game, not figuring out what to do with his hands, with his feet, just never getting comfortable, to what he is now. And I wrote him off after his rookie season and really into his sophomore year. Right. It just wasn't consistent. I think I was done with him.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt because I can separate the art from the artist.
Right.
I see Jarren Duran, the player, and that's who I'm rooting for in this one.
It hurts. Let me hurt your feelings then, because I just want to tell you that I think the Yankees suck. Like they do. No, let me tell you about it though, because their infield is horrible right now.
Yeah, Gleyber Torres, get him out of here.
Gleyber Torres is horrible.
You're betting on a rookie, Ben Rice, playing first base first time in his career.
Why is Volpe leading off? He's been terrible for months now. At this point,
no one can hit.
Like you got LeMahieu and freaking Rizzo. They look older than dirt.
Yeah.
They look older than dirt. And then Gleyber Torres, like you said, if he's not hitting the dang baseball.
Bro, he's not hustling. He's literally just like he needs to get away from this clubhouse.
And he has a negative defensive WAR. So
it's like, what is he doing?
What is
just
he
subtracting from the team.
Literally.
I don't disagree with anything you're saying. They got off to a ridiculously hot start. The starting rotation was overachieving with Garrett Cole out.
Right.
And Cole still needs to get back into the groove, obviously him coming from the elbow injury. Right. Aaron Judge is fantastic. This Yankees team has me worried.
Yeah, as they should.
Ben Rice had a 3-home run game, and you were like, all right, that's it. Season's back on. And then the Red Sox come back and rip the hearts out. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
L.A., man. You're a Dodgers fan. Yeah, I know where you're coming from with that angle.
Yes, sir.
All right, speaking of that Devers stat, tying David Ortiz.
Yep.
Eventually, he'll break Jose Batista's record of the most home runs in Yankee Stadium. Mm-hmm. Who would you say? We'll go pick by pick here.
Okay.
We'll go 1 through 3. Give me your number 3. Top 3 Yankee killers that wore a Red Sox uniform or wears a Red Sox uniform. Who's number 3 for you?
Yeah, I got to go with Mr. Red Seat. Mr. Red Sox, Ted Williams in my number 3 spot. He obviously had a lot of opportunities against these Yankees teams because he played a number of years here in Boston, but a 345 average against the Yankees. These are all stats just against the Yankees. 357 hits, 62 homers, 229 RBIs, and he had only 327 games against them. So 357 hits in
327
games.
Sounds impossible. He's never gone. The fact that he's never gone 0 against the Yankees. Yeah. Like he's reached base every game alone.
Every game.
And then bring in the 60-plus home runs and all those RBI.
Right.
Teddy ball game, man.
Yep.
My number 3, I went Pedro on this one.
Okay.
And you think of Pedro and you remember he's like, I guess the Yankees are my daddy. Like you just think of that infamous quote. Just tip my hat and call the Yankees my daddies.
Yeah.
22 career starts, 11-11 record. But think of like young Pedro, late 90s. Yep. Career 3.20 ERA. Only allowed more than 3 runs in 3 of those 22 career starts against the Yankees.
Yep.
10-plus Ks 9 times.
Yep.
He had 17 Ks in 99, 13 K in 2001, 12 K in 2001. And when he infamously said, I just tip my hat and called the Yankees my daddy in the 2004 ALCS, followed that up with 6 innings pitched, 6 Ks, 4 earned runs in Game 5, and then an inning pitched in Game 7 of the ALCS win against the Yankees. He stepped up. He is, to me, the most dominant pitcher that ever pitched in the game.
Yeah.
Just insane, his stuff, especially early Pedro, late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
He would show up. He'd wear it. He's just the throwback ball player, too, where it's like, the Yankees got the best of me. That's all I can say. You know, I felt good. They got the best of me, but he'll still show up the next day. And when Sox need him most to complete that rally back, to come back and do the unthinkable in 04, he stepped up when they needed him to. And I think it's that series alone, but then every career game, him stepping out against the Yankees.
Yeah, the inner part of me is smiling right now. Like I'm shining through just because you brought up a former Dodgers player. I love that. With that, too, I'm not going to go with a former Dodgers player, surprisingly. I'm going to go with Ortiz. I think, obviously, he could be there at 1. I think some people are probably like, what? Ortiz not at 1? But I have some, some love for the guy that I have in my first spot. But the 303 average that he had, 271 hits, 53 home runs, 171 RBIs. And he also had 225 runs scored and Sorry.
A lot of numbers.
150 runs scored, 243 games.
Yep.
Obviously, I think he had less opportunities than some of the guys that we're going to continue to list off here. So his numbers are a little skewed. But he has so many clutch hits, in those Yankees-Red Sox series. So I had to put him here at the 2 spot. Guy number 1 is special to me, so I'll let you talk about who you got at 2.
My 2 spot, maybe it's your number 1. I go Manny Ramirez in my 2 spot.
Okay.
Because I think of the biggest moments for Ortiz, and I think he's the most clutch hitter of all time, and he always did against the Yankees.
Yeah.
But in Manny Ramirez's, let's just go 203 career games alone against the Yankees. 322 hitter, 55 home run, 165 RBI.
Yep.
Postseason alone, 25 career postseason games. 277 batting average in the playoffs, 28 hits, 4 home run, 11 RBI. What he would do defensively and what it was with him and Ortiz in that same lineup.
Yep.
You had a 1-2 in that spot, just absolute would snatch the soul out of the New York Yankees. The fans would silence one of the best stadiums when Old Yankee Stadium was around. One of the best, most difficult stadiums to play in. Manny and David Ortiz can silence that at any time. That's why I put Manny at my 2. If again Manny's my 2, you know who my 1 is. That's David Ortiz. But I just think of the big moments Manny Ramirez has been a part of, and also for the rings, the history, and all he's done as well. That's why I put Manny Ramirez in my 2 spot on this.
Yeah.
He's your 1, isn't he?
Yeah, and he is my 1. And I like it because unlike these other 2 guys that we talked about, Ortiz, well, I talked about Ted Williams, obviously. The guys that I talked about is that he played other places. So you talked about his career stats, obviously, but I want to talk about what he did when he was wearing this jersey right here with the Red Sox. He was a 346 batting average, George, when he played with the Red Sox against the Yankees. That is insane. 346, almost 350. 156 hits, 36 home runs, 101 RBIs, 87 runs scored, and 123 games played. So he had a ton of success in just a short amount of time, and he was getting on base so much. I think the Yankees feared him the most when he was in his Red Sox jersey, and that's why I put him as the number 1 all-time Yankees killer that's ever worn a Red Sox jersey.
He went from 346 with the Sox.
Yep.
Obviously goes to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Still 322 career batting average against the Yankees alone.
Yep.
That's what makes Devers so special in what he's doing, because of he always rises to the occasion of this rivalry.
Yeah.
And when you give someone the type of contract you gave Rafael Devers, $300+ million, very long-term deal.
Yeah.
Something's important. Is obviously winning,
but
it's showing up and playing your rivals, and he does it every time. Postseason, regular season, Rafael Devers kills the Yankees. And to the point where those fans fear him like they do. For Rafi, there's no bigger compliment he can get. He's just a mother effer to the Yankees.
Yeah.
Top of my list, you spoke about him, David Ortiz. You gave him the numbers. His first career walk-off was in 2003, 5-4 when he hit one off the monster to beat the Yankees.
Yep.
But then obviously you go to 2004 ALCS, bottom 12th, 2-run home run. That's when Joe Buck famously said, "We'll see you later tonight," because it was past midnight, that game going into extras. Then game 5, I'm going with just 2 moments here that point out what he did against the Yankees. Solo shot made it a 4-3 deficit in the 8th. Then bottom 14th, the blooper that scores Johnny Damon. Again, pushing once again that ALCS to stretching for them to win it in 7. And then from that point on, you said it. In the playoffs alone, 5 home runs, 14 postseason games against the Yankees. 17 RBI in 14 postseason games against the Yankees.
Jesus.
333 batting average.
17 in 14 games.
333 batting average.
Dude.
David Ortiz, everyone knows, most clutch hitter of all time, was an absolute killer in this rivalry. And against the Yankees, You can't dispute his greatness. That's why, to me, he's the number one on this list.
Yeah.
I don't hate Manny being one on that either.
Yeah, I think it's a coin flip for who you would take, one or two. Obviously, I'm gonna take the guy that has ties to my city. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I could put my roots aside. You can't.
The 303 versus the 346 is really what pushed me to it. 346, George. That's insane. That's Ohtani numbers. You know what I mean?
No, now we're comparing Manny Ramirez to Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
What was Manny Wood like at Dodger Stadium?
Dude, it was insane. Like the juice that he had around the city, bro. He was so special. I remember when we signed him, like we didn't think that we were gonna have him for, long at all. So we were just all in on it. Like we gotta appreciate greatness while we have the opportunity. We obviously saw what he did here in Boston, and we were like, great. Like we gotta we gotta cherish him even more. Because I know the Boston fans, they loved him. So, we were like, hey, yeah, we got to show him even more love. So anytime his walk-up song came on, you would see little kids running from, like, the concessions to go watch the game. Like, everybody was at
so important to baseball.
He was up to bat. So
that's what's so essential is the players that you stop whatever you're doing and watch when they're at bat. You lock in. That's what a guy like Manny Ramirez is, David Ortiz.
Yep.
That's Devers. That's Duran. That's Aaron Judge. That's Juan Soto. But you need that. I think that's so cool to hear from that. I remember when Manny went to the Dodgers, like, there's no way. So there's no way that's actually happening.
Yeah.
On both fronts. But obviously he goes out, gets paid, does what he does. But how long he was with the Dodgers, too. Yeah. It got to the point, too, where once he left L.A. and he was done there, I was like, damn, I was upset that ended.
Yeah.
Obviously, I liked him being in a Dodgers uniform more than a Red Sox uniform growing up. Look back on it now. Appreciate the greatness.
Is he the best to don both jerseys? Dodgers and Red Sox? Off the top of your head. Pedro, obviously. Mookie, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just want to bring up the Mookie word here. Mookie's book isn't done being written, but how insane he was in 2018.
Well, yeah, he's
still the best player in baseball.
In both places.
Yeah, won the World Series in both places. Yeah, it was 2020 World Series. It was 2020. It was 2020.
Stop it.
It was you would not have wouldn't have Clayton Kershaw in a normal season. It's not even bringing in like the empty stadiums into this.
If the Yankees and the Knicks and the Red Sox and the Celtics won, you would claim it.
It's a World Series with an asterisk, and you know what a World Series with an asterisk is? It's his World Series still. But yes, he won a World Series in both. Yeah. One was in 2020.
We need to put the asterisk on the Astros.
Mookie is still we do. Mookie is still MVP conversation now.
Yeah,
World Series in both spots. How effective Mookie is, far from done even being out of his prime. I give Mookie the best to rock both uniforms.
Already.
Manny Cole ain't bad, though. Yeah, with that book.
No,
what he did in Boston,
he
how special he is, and he's still one of the best players.
Right.
And he's still, like, last year, before they got Ohtani, was in the MVP conversation.
Yeah.
They need to move to play the middle infield. Mookie's like, all right, bet.
Yeah.
One of the best athletes to ever play in baseball.
Yeah.
And now he just so happens to have that unicorn Shohei Ohtani next to him.
You know who's coming for that? Connor Wong. Connor Wong is coming
best
for that.
athlete to ever play baseball?
For both teams.
Oh, for both teams. All right. Main piece around that Mookie Betts trade.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Connor Wong's defending it. Yeah, it was the best trade in Boston Red Sox history because you got Connor Wong out of it.
Yes.
All right. Red Sox, it's getting interesting for them.
Yep.
As I said, they're in the third and final wild card spot. 4.5 games back of the Yankees for that first place in the wild card race.
Yep.
In the mix in their division. The big question is, and there's so much time between now and then to the trade deadline, should the Red Sox buy or sell? In your opinion, what would you do if you are running the Red Sox? Would you buy or sell?
I'd hold. And I know that's a scary.
I like that answer though, because it's all about what are you selling. But
right.
Go ahead.
It's one of those things where I look at it as like the rabbit and the turtle, right? This team is building something, right? And it takes time.
Or is it chicken and egg?
Chicken and egg? No, which came first? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying like the rabbit and the turtle, they run the race, obviously. Rabbit goes all fast.
Two different methods.
Turtle takes his time, ends up winning the race, right?
Okay.
One of the things about this team is that we know they're probably a couple of pieces away from winning the big thing, right? So instead of getting off of the young guys like Meyer, who's going to be coming up soon.
You don't trade them.
You don't trade those guys to get guys that can help you be good, a playoff contender now, right? They're a playoff contender as is. You don't want to be able to go into this situation and see this team get a guy and end up losing in the second round or something like that, right? You want them to continue to run the race. They have a lot of great young talent that we want to see, that we've been waiting on. Well, I mean, I've been waiting on Marcelo for freaking forever, it feels like. Well, hopefully we get to see him next year and up here at Fenway. So give these guys time. Finally, we're starting to see this team be more consistent, right? That's the biggest difference between this team last year and this team that we have this year, is that last year, these guys, Casas, Duran, all of these guys, they weren't sure if they were going to start every day. That's just the honest truth. Now we're seeing that they have the opportunity to start every day, and they're being rewarded with consistent at-bats, and they're doing well with it. You know, they're going to have times where they slump. They're going to have times where they hit really well, and we're seeing them be more consistent because they're not afraid. We've all been in that position, right, where you're on the team and you might not be the best player on the team, right? You come off the bench or whatever. You're just not the main guy, right? And
that's never happened to me in my life.
Whatever. And you have the coach that looks at you and he goes, all right, man, every time you make a mistake, you're coming out. You're getting yelled at, blah, 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 whatever, right? These guys don't have to worry about that. They just get the opportunity to go out there and play baseball. So I think it's going to be a little different where people are going to sit there at home and they're telling us like, well, last year we didn't, sell or buy, and we ended up falling off the map, you know what I mean, in the second half of the season. I don't think that's happening with this team this year because this team has more consistency. Front office has shown that they have faith. They gave Rafaela a huge deal before the year started. Duran is an everyday guy, as Corey has said, where last year he wasn't. Casas, everyone in the entire city is bought into this dude. He had his own bobblehead this year and everything like that. So everybody, the city, front office, ownership is bought into these young guys and giving them an opportunity. So continue to trust the process, even though I know we hate that term because of Philly. But trust the process and continue to let these young guys develop, and you'll see something special in a couple of years.
I want to see them buy at the deadline, but it has to be the right moves. It's not just move young prospects to bring in blank.
Yeah.
Sell the farm because his team is special and build a winner right now.
Yeah.
I think they're far away from that. But if it's moves that make sense, not a rental relief pitcher. Give me a left-handed arm that could be in the pen or the rotation, but has team control for the next few years.
Yeah.
And you will have to get rid of prospects. But if it makes sense and it bolsters your pitching or it helps out defensively or in your lineup, and then you get leaders in the clubhouse, because this team is playing great right now, I think the experience it can get of going in, getting into the playoffs, winning a series, messing around and winning a series or two, making things interesting, even if they don't win a series, that'll be so crucial in 2025, but really 2026, when everyone's seeing if they can get back to being contenders. The fact that they're dancing with the playoffs right now, they're ahead of schedule. Boston loves to see that. Yeah. And they're still so far from being a finished product. Where's Tristan Casas in his rehab? Vaughn Grissom has been ripping it up with Worcester, hitting .333 with an .844 OPS. Masataka Yoshida, his last 12 games, a .733 OPS, which you need to get out of your designated hitter position. Kyle Teal could get called up, and that would be ahead of schedule for him. He was expected an ETA of next year. He comes up. Then you move Connor Wong around, and he can fill some holes wherever you need it defensively. So this team is far from being done, and still Brian Bayo hasn't gotten his stuff together. But what Andrew Bailey's been able to do with Tanner Houck, with Cutter Crawford, with those types of guys, with Kenley Jansen, once Brian Bayo figures it out and can be that number 3 in a rotation, that changes the dynamic of the team. But I do see what they need. To me, it would be a left-handed pitcher. Is it Tariq Skubal from the Tigers? I don't know if they trade him because that's a young, good team. I think they should extend him and keep him. It's a piece of core. But also, his price would be way high, I think. The Red Sox have till July 30th to figure things out. That's a trade deadline. A lot can change between now and then. And if you do something now, no, the price may get better and the value may get better the closer you wait till the deadline if suitors back out. I was going through, I see like a Reed Detmers, left-handed pitcher. He has a 6.14 ERA, but if Andrew Bailey gets his hands on him, then you can build some trust in. Can he be a 4 or 5? Can he be a guy out of the pen? Zach Eflin, now he's a righty with the 115 whip, but there would be the team control he still has, and already his main pitch is sinker, cutter, curveball. Doesn't rely on a fastball, which Andrew Bailey takes away from his pitchers. He wants you to come in with that sweeper. All right, so that's a guy that already comes in that would fit the mold perfectly. Then I would think maybe a Ryan McMahon, third baseman for the Rockies.
Yeah.
Team controlled through 2027. Great defensively, great power bat. He can improve this team. But how does that change the lineup? You don't want to mess with this core too much and what's going right.
Yeah.
But I think if you add in a right, smart way, and again, for someone that would be here in 2026 and 2027 and can help out a need right now, like pitching, get some pitching depth, lineup depth, then I would be into them buying. But I would not want to see a core guy be moved as well.
Yeah, not Till, not Meyer for sure. I wouldn't hate getting the extra bat, that's for sure. But I think you're right. You hit it on the nail on the head. Lefty starter is huge for this team because they have 5 righty starters right now that they have in their rotation. So a lefty starter would be huge.
You don't get to an effective lefty until you get to like Brendan Bernardino. And it's like going deep into the pen on that part. Yeah. Good piece, but you need that. And that's what's missing from them. Maybe there's a Garrett Crochet or Croquette from the White Sox. I think it's Crochet, left-handed pitcher. Been injured the last few years, but you just don't know if he has a mileage. But if he could come in and be effective out of the pen, then he adds to this team. Hey, make sure to check out 310 to the Left. That's hosted by TC and Alex Spear. Full Red Sox talk. You head to 310 to the Left, you get it there. But of course, here on Boston Center, the chat, we talk Sox as well, as you can see by Tay's jersey. All right, we'll wrap things up with talking about the 3 All-Stars for the Boston Red Sox. Rafael Devers, Tanner Houck, Jarren Duran. What do you think of the news when those 3 get voted into the game?
I'm excited. I think it was time, time is due. Duran was the obvious guy that I thought, like, hey, is the MLB paying attention to this young stud, the 5-tool baseball player that he is? Great defensively, great on the bases, amazing on the bases. I mean, I love to watch that dude run the bases. And then his bat has been just electric and pumping veins, just like his own veins. You know what I mean? Out there. Just yoking home runs and just, hitting a bunch of extra base hits. So he's been a great baseball player. The guy that I was also surprised with coming into this year was Houck, because after last season, after taking that line drive off his face against the Yankees, honestly, he just kind of had a little bit of down year after that, just as anybody would. If I took a ball off the face, I'd be afraid to go up there on the mound forever. So I'm just proud of him for getting up there and stepping up to the plate and doing it again. Yeah. But like you said, Andrew Bailey being here has helped him out a ton. He's got all of his pitches down to really 3. He's not even doing where he was like a 5-pitch guy last year. He's now down to 3, where he's really focusing on the 3 that are really powerful for him. So I'm excited to see him here. And then Devers, I mean, he's a steed, man. He's just going to continue to be here. He's just a workhorse. He's doing it every single year, being the Red Sox guy. You're going to get out what you're going to get out of him is production. So I'm excited to see him here as well. Maybe a little surprised that Kenley didn't make it, but
I think it's Tanner Houck's been the guy this year. He stepped up to be their number 1, which I think surprised a lot of folks. You were thinking, because again, think of preseason. This is a weaker pitching core. This is a weaker rotation. You thought Brian Bay would be the number 1 and eventually become a number 3.
Yep.
Would it be Garrett Whitlock? He got injured. But what Houck and Cutter Crawford have been able to piece together, especially Houck with a 105 whip. I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. Yeah. When he gets a ball in his hands, you know what you're going to get from him. He's going to absolutely dominate.
Yeah.
For Jarren Duran, I'm so happy he made it. Man. It's his story. It's how much he means to him. But this is a guy that hasn't missed a game, does everything for this team defensively with his bat, on the base path like you alluded to and like you mentioned. And as Alex Cora said when he announced it, plays the game the right way every day.
Yeah.
And if you're raising a kid, you want to raise him to play baseball like Jarren Duran. What he went from in 2021 to where he is now in 2024 is amazing, because this is a kid that's great. And you have to be so happy for the Red Sox that you were patient, you sought it out, and you let him get through his growing pains, and it's happening here in Boston and not elsewhere. Yeah. That's what I think is huge for Duran. And then with Rafi, at the height of his powers, he's a top 5 player in baseball. Should be in. And I think it's huge for MLB that Duran is doing what he's doing all season long, but Rafi just got done doing what he's doing against the Yankees. Then you name him into the All-Star game. Then they'll be in the Midsummer Classic, where you want someone that gets named to that and be playing that well to see them be on that big stage. I thought it was great. I was just hoping Jarren Duran would get in. I didn't want him to be a reserve. I wanted him to get voted in. And he did. I think that was huge for Duran.
Yeah, it was. The guys that I'm surprised as we look around the league that didn't make it in, I just have one, Francisco Lindor. I think that Trey Turner should have been out. 51 games is just not enough to be an all-star when Lindor's played 88. He's also 7th in the MLB in WAR. So wins above above replacements, which is a huge stat. So I just think he should have got in, but it's a fan vote, so who really cares?
That's my thing. If like Duran didn't get in, it would be another reason why they got to end the fan vote BS. For me, I was looking Christian Walker from the Diamondbacks. Gold standard defensively, great bat, been already with 22 home runs and 64 RBI, so great numbers there, and just didn't get in. Again, this is why it shouldn't be a fan vote.
Right. Well, it's tough for him just because he has Bryce Harper and Freddie Freeman in front of him as well. When you play in the AL or the NL, when you have that opportunity to play against those guys, it's going to be tough for you to get in, honestly.
Of course, you're defending Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, of course.
In that one.
Yeah, of course.
Can't hate with them two getting in. I wish I could see Christian Walker be playing on that big stage. All right, that's it for Boston has ended the chat inside the PNC Bank studios. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, follow wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime. You're watching on YouTube or Twitch. Please like and subscribe as well. We appreciate you viewing. This is Boston's End of the Chat. George Balekji, Ountae Campbell. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Peace.